All right, it is 8 a.m. in New York. Time for our webinar, second webinar with Polaris. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties with adding our guest. He was online just a few seconds ago, and then his picture disappeared. Hopefully everything will be fixed and he will be back online in a few seconds, minutes maybe. But meanwhile, before we start talking about Polaris, I wanted to take a second and answer some of the general questions about the X-Culture reports. We have received a number of questions in the past few days related to the draft and the final report submission, and I would like to clarify some things. One, the similarity index. The reason it's not called plagiarism index, but the similarity index, is because the software, it may be very smart as far as finding where the copy and pasted material is. But what it cannot do is it cannot understand which of the copied and pasted materials are legitimate quotes. You understand that sometimes it is allowed or even expected or perfectly fine and acceptable to copy and paste work of others. Sometimes you would like to quote someone, so there is nothing wrong with copying the entire sentence and putting it in your report or paper. The important thing here is that you must properly reference the source. So you can, for example, I don't know, quote someone's powerful statement about the expected situation on the market. And you can quote it, but then you put it in quote marks, right? And then you say it's been copied from, or it was copied from page number 3, publication by John Smith in journal such and such. In that case, it's perfectly fine. So Turnitin is still going to catch that sentence and will say this one has been copied and pasted. But it is okay because it's been properly referenced. Likewise, sometimes you would like to maybe, I don't know, include an extract of some sort of analysis from a different report, or maybe some tables or data or graphs. Those things are okay as long as you reference them correctly and as long as those copy and pastes are contributing to your report. And so Turnitin doesn't know which of that was properly referenced and which of that was copied and pasted and presented as your own work. And so therefore it gives you the similarity index, or in other words, the percentage of your work that has been copied and pasted. And then it leaves up to us, the instructors, to decide how to deal with that material. So if you see some similarity index, let's say 10% or even 15%, it's usually considered normal. It's presumed that maybe those are legitimate quotes. But if it's more, that's when we have a problem. All right, Mr. Dubey is here, so I'm going to switch back to him. And so we have received a number of questions about Polaris via email, and more I see are coming as we speak. Since there are so many of them, what we're going to do this time is we are going to group them by the report section. And instead of talking about the company in general, about its history and products and goals, we will go directly to the specific questions about the report. And the reason we're not going to focus too much about on the company itself is because we already did that webinar. A few weeks ago, we had the first webinar, and that's when we gave you a general introduction about the company. So today we will talk about the things, the questions that you have as you're trying to finish up the reports, as you're trying to work out some of those details. So I will go with the question number 1, and this one has been asked many times. The balance between detail and length of the report. On the one hand, our students want to put as much as possible into the reports, as many details as possible on every single question. On the other hand, we all realize that you will receive many reports. Polaris is one of the most popular companies this semester. There are, I believe, over 100 teams working on this challenge. So if we printed all those reports, we are talking about hundreds, probably thousands of pages. So obviously, there is absolutely no physical way you will be able to read all those reports. The question is, how would you like the students to resolve this issue? Would you like them to still be as detailed as possible, or would you prefer them to be brief and just focus on the most important things?
Yeah, I think it's better to be brief and focus to the point. And if there are any queries, they can always ask us. We are available. Detailed report, I mean, they can put it in their semesters and for the academic purpose. Because as far as we are concerned, we'll better want to deal with the synopsis and what exactly is the bullet point they want to ask from us.
Right. There was one instructor who was even suggesting that it may be a good idea to have like a little, have the general executive summary at the beginning of the report, so 1 page or half a page summary of the key points, but then maybe have like a little bullet list, maybe 1 paragraph at the beginning of each section, so that the reader can quickly look at the main points presented in the section, and if it's interesting, then the reader can go and read the rest of the section, look for the details. If it's less interesting, maybe skip to the next section right away. Do you think that would be a good idea?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So that's how a solution for both.
Right. Okay. Next question, kind of similar but a little different. So the section one focuses on the company itself, and so again, I already saw some of the report drafts, and I see that it is sometimes an issue in some of them. But anyway, the question is, how much attention should the students devote to describing the company? On the one hand, one student asks, I would like to describe the company to show Mr. Dubie or whoever will be reading the report, my instructor maybe, that I know the company, I know its history, I know its products, and I know a lot about it. On the other hand, he is worried that you already know all that information, so you probably don't want to read pages and pages of information about the company that you lead and that you know better than anyone else. So again, the question is, how much should they put in the company description and company analysis? And what exactly should they focus there to make it valuable for you?
For me, I mean, a brief is more than enough. But if their academic requirement or for any other purposes, if they're going to use this report, that is when they can have the description.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Next question is about the market selection criteria. This is the section where students normally say, well, if the company wants to expand into new markets, these are the market characteristics that are necessary for the product to be successful. For example, the country must have certain income level, or maybe a certain climate or population density and things like that. The questions that we have, and 3 students asked those. With Polaris India, you already have a very specific geographic area in mind. And so the question here becomes, should they focus more on the geography then? Or should they still do some analysis with respect to the, as I said, economic environment, political environment, legal environment, or maybe some sort of a combination of the two?
It's better to focus on the geographies that we have shared. At the same time, any analysis on the political scenario or the other economic scenario that might impact the business, they are more than welcome to share. But I would not recommend going beyond the geographies that I have shared.
Right. And within the geographic area, again, do you have any strong preferences for specific countries around India or around your geographic area? Or within that specific geographic region, you are open as to which country students suggest, as long as they can explain why they selected one or another?
No, so we already shortlisted the countries, and we have shared that in the earlier communication, including the webinar. So I think we discussed about Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and some other countries like Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan. So these are the countries where we were looking at options. And I think it's better that we focus on to the countries that we have already shared in writing, rather than looking at beyond.
Absolutely. And again, and that message to the students, I've seen the reports, the drafts written by my students. And so from what I see, not most of them, all of them stay within that specific geographic area. But if you believe that there is a wonderful market somewhere else, in this particular case, with this particular challenge, the company is not interested going beyond that geography. If you believe that, for example, maybe in Argentina there is a good market, well, this time it's not exactly the geographic area that the company is interested in. So be mindful of that. Now, next question actually comes from the instructor, from one of the instructors. It's about the market description section. So once the students select the market, they are required to describe the market so that you know what to expect when you move there. And so this instructor says that he already started looking at the report drafts, and he was sometimes a little frustrated with the amount of information that the students provide. And the reason for that is he feels that the students sometimes put too much irrelevant information. So rather than trying to describe the very specific things that you as a business owner, manager need to know to do business there with your specific product, with your specific company. They would just put anything and everything they can find on the country. They would literally, as he put it, sometimes copy the entire Wikipedia page about the country and everything from politics to economy to religion. So he felt that it was sometimes, it looked like it's a lot of information, but at the same time it becomes noisy, it becomes not focused, and it becomes not very useful. What is your take on that? Again, would more be better, or would it be better to say only a few things that are specifically relevant to this particular product?
I completely agree with your instructor. It is basically what we need is to focus on the target that we have given, and not just give us every information that you know about the country, because those are all informations generally available. So only relevant information which is going to impact the business of Polaris India in that market should be shared.
Yeah. I agree with that too. I haven't seen much this semester yet, just except for the drafts. But looking at the reports last year for other companies, I was also sometimes a little disappointed. Some teams do a wonderful job. They focus exactly on the things that I need to know with respect to this particular product. But others would give me all kinds of things, you know, administrative regions, language. Some of those things are known. We already know. Some of those things seem to be irrelevant. So don't waste too much time on this. Focus on the things that we need to know. Now, next question is about the entry mode. So when the company moves into a new market, you have a number of options here. You can open your own fully owned subsidiary, or maybe you can go with some sort of a franchising option, some sort of dealerships owned by the local companies, or you can have all kinds of other options from exporting to whatever else, joint ventures, alliances, and things like that. And so there are several students who are asking whether or not you have any specific restrictions with respect to the entry mode. Does it necessarily have to be, for example, your fully owned subsidiary, or does it necessarily have to be maybe franchising, so where you have dealerships that, you know, you give them the right to sell your products, but they own the dealership? Do you have any preferences here, or are there any things that you would never even consider? They make no economic sense to you?
So for all these markets that we have shared, we would look at primarily appointing a distributor, and who turns can appoint number of dealers under them in that country. So we do not have any plans to have any subsidiary of the company or sales happening from the company. We'll prefer that we appoint a distributor, and then distributor is responsible for the entire business in that country. And then he can in turn have his own network dealers and others.
Mm-hmm. So that would be your preference, or that's the only option you would consider? Meaning that if students have other preferences or other recommendations, they shouldn't disperse their attention on those and just focus on how to organize this particular one best?
No, we are not looking at any other option but this at this time. Mm-hmm. We're just looking at this option.
Mm-hmm. Again, a very important statement. So you guys, you still have quite some time to finish up the report, so keep that in mind. So again, sometimes the company on the one hand has a strong preference. On the other hand, they are professionals. They've done it, and they probably already do it in multiple markets, so they know what works. And so they specifically seek your advice with staying with this one particular option, distributor and then dealerships, and then helping set up that sort of an arrangement rather than do something different. Okay. All right, so next batch of questions, distribution and pricing. So the students had, on the one hand, to select one of your more popular products and recommend the price in the target market, and then also recommend the distribution mode. And so the questions, again, primarily the same. How much freedom do they have with respect to both pricing and the distribution, in the sense that you probably, again, already have some preferred both price targets. You probably know how much the product should cost. You cannot go below that value, and you're probably not seeking to charge too much. Likewise, the distribution, just like you just said, that you probably would like to have a major distributor and then maybe local dealerships. That's probably going to be your distribution channel. Are you, again, very flexible with respect to how much the prices should be and how the product should be distributed, or you would like to stay within the more traditional kind of path?
So as far as the pricing is concerned, we have the variable elements into structuring the pricing in each of the country.
Yep.
Because the import duties in each of the countries is different, the value-added tax are different, the margins that we typically recommend to the dealers to be varying anywhere from 10% to 20%. So we would like the distributors to stay within this, but we are slightly flexible based on the needs of the country and also the appetite and the applicability of this pricing in the market. So we are slightly flexible on that, but that is what is strongly recommended by our side. We also look at the distribution, as I already explained, that we have a standard distributor, one distributor in the country, and he in turn appoints the dealer, and therefore the pricing can be adjusted by the distributor, seeing that what is the end price in the market which the customers would be willing to pay, and therefore all the margins of the distributor and the dealer has to be from the product pricing that we do to the distributor. And also the marketing cost have also to be taken out from the local the price that the aggressive price that we give and the price at which they sell. So they have to get the marketing budget also out of the same pricing strategy. So therefore the entire the planning on the price should be done accordingly, so that they have enough marketing budget and they have enough margins to deal with the dealers, and also the end user does not think that it is too expensive, and therefore he doesn't go for the product itself.
Okay, and then there are a few other related questions to pricing. One student asks if they should focus on a fixed price, so this is how much the product should cost, or would you be interested in some sort of pricing strategies with respect to like financing, or maybe some sort of like a repeat customer discount, or perhaps some sort of like loyal customer programs? Would you be interested in any of those?
Yeah, so once the distribution has been set up and the network is there, these are all strategies that has to be implemented from time to time. And we would obviously recommend that they should have some benefits to the customers who have already bought. So if they come for a repeat sale, so there has to be some program that can be run over there. So likewise, the strategy has to be made based on the what is currently prevailing in that domestic market, and what are they getting from competition, and therefore the strategies will vary accordingly. But we are flexible on all that.
Right. And yes, I believe it would be also very appropriate to tell, as the last statement by Mr. Dubey was, what does the competition do? So it seems to me that it would be appropriate not only to make up some suggestions of your own, but actually explain where they're coming from, and perhaps make some research into the competition, into the traditions or economic traditions perhaps in the market, how it's normally done, what are normally the types of pricing strategies or discounts and things like that, so that you provide some sort of an overview of what kind of environment exists with respect to prices, and then you provide your recommendations with respect to all those analyses that you conducted, right? Now, another one also, kind of an interesting question. When we talk about prices, should students focus on the prices for the clients, for the end consumers, for the people who will buy the product and will drive it, or for the prices for the distributors, or both? And is there any difference? Do you have perhaps maybe some standard practices with respect to the distributors, but then are flexible with respect to the clients, or the other way around?
I think for the purpose of this study, they should focus on the distributor, and they can assume certain margins, which is to the tune of say 20% or so, to decide the end user price. So we have already shared the distributor price with all the students. So when they are communicating and they are trying to evaluate what would be the competition and what should be the end user price, they can use this hypothesis, the pricing that we have given at that 20% margin. But as I said, if you try to arrive at the end user price, you really need to do a very in-depth analysis of that country, because the taxes in each of the country is different. Even the import duty, the kind of even the English, so you can't know how the effort is, say 200%, but then there are certain paybacks by the government. Okay, if you do this, then you get 20% back. If you do this, you get 10% back. So it's very difficult for the students to
Right.
analyze all that sitting in one country and talking about another country in depth. So most of the time, I would recommend that they should focus on the distributor pricing. And if they get in touch with if they get some information, they can hypothetically evaluate what should be the end user price. But more likely it is that you won't be able to arrive at the correct pricing very easily during the course of this project. So that itself is, you will have to take the help of the distributor. The distributor to whom you are talking about, he explains all the taxes, and then what is the end user price, what is the margins that he's going to keep, what is the kind of various promotions that he is going to do. So it's very, very difficult for anybody to sit in one country and arrive at the end user price of the competition. You can have, okay, Yamaha is selling at this price or Honda is selling at this price, so this is what is recommended. But the entire calculations, the matrix, it will be difficult for any student unless and until he is in detailed discussions with any distributor. If they do it, great. If they don't, if they are not able to do so, they better focus on the distributor itself.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Now, there is one very interesting question that is kind of almost on the border between legal and illegal. The student says that his team seems to know how to avoid paying import tariffs on the products that you would be selling in that particular market. And he didn't mention which market. I'm not sure which one it is. But apparently there are ways to avoid paying or reduce those import tariffs if you do certain things that they know you should do. Would you be interested in that sort of advice at all? And again, I don't know how credible that statement is. Maybe they think they know, and in reality, it's a little different. But if they really do, should they include that in the report?
We would give only the standard documents that we provide to every part of the world. Mm-hmm. So those are all universal documents, like in what category it falls. If that country where the study is going on, if that country allows any any deviation on the rules technically, with the same set of documents, we have no problems. Right. But if he's using the document, he's forging the documents, and right, asking us, okay, instead of 100 rupees, bill me at 10 rupees, we are not going to do that.
Right.
So unless and until the government rules of the country allows this to happen, means you arrive at the correct the taxes instead of a hypothetical taxes. The way that I was explaining in the earlier question, that there are certain duties and there are certain exemptions or the payback by the government. That okay, if you sell this within 6 months, you get 30% tax off. So if those sort of a thing is being calculated, we are okay. But no change in documents, no illegal activities we would encourage.
Yeah, so nothing illegal.
To bypass the system, we will not do anything.
Right. That makes perfect sense. So if you guys know about some sort of maybe loopholes in the law that allow us to do it perfectly legally, maybe share that. But if you have some shady schemes in mind, no, that would not be of interest. Next question is about marketing. So we have several questions here. I will start with the general one. How do you normally advertise your products? What are the normal advertisement and promotion channels that you are currently using or plan to use in a new market?
So basically, these are products which are not of mass usage, and therefore the two main marketing efforts we direct towards are the experiential marketing, and the second is digital marketing. So what we do is that unless and until you showcase the products to the end users, the prospective end users, no matter how much you advertise on the mass channel, it won't give you the results. So experiential marketing is the number one activity that we would recommend to all marketing guys. Mm-hmm. And number two is digital, because it is focused into specific areas. So on digital advertising, you can decide which cities, which area you want to communicate, and what exactly you want to communicate. It's very, very precise. So that is something where we are currently using all our resources. We have tried certain mass media like a newspaper or television, but nothing has given great results so far. So for the purpose of the new markets, again, we will advise that they should stick on to experiential marketing and digital advertising.
Yeah, so some sort of social communities, maybe off-road clubs, festivals, that kind of stuff. As I understand, It is not the kind of the product that you would advertise, let's say on TV, where housewives are watching some movies and then they will see the advertisement for the off-road vehicles, right? It's not the type of audience that you're targeting.
Absolutely, because its audience is very, very niche, very, very focused. So when you go for a television, now television is advertised all over. So it's not specific to your audience. Whereas in a digital, you can choose that I want people who have adventure quotient, I want people who have this, who have just checked about ATV once, I want to follow and go and advertise over there. But on a television set, it's all about the same. Whatever you advertise, if the person is sitting in front of the TV, he will see it, otherwise he will not see it. And therefore, it's more of a mass marketing. Products are better advertised on a TV channel. So we would recommend that this should be better avoided, or if it has to be used, it has to be used very, very smartly.
Makes perfect sense. Several students ask about the advertisement budget. Do you have a specific number in mind, or would you like the students to focus on finding the most effective strategy that is not expensive, rather than looking at a specific number?
Yeah, so ideally, whatever turnover that we do, the marketing should be anywhere between 5 to 10% in the first couple of years. So it should be definitely under 10%. So all the effort, all the planning that should be done should be based on what is the kind of revenue that can be generated in the first and the second year, and therefore what would 8% or a 10% amount would be, and therefore where this amount should be spread and spent.
Yep, that's specific enough. Then we also have a section on staffing, and that's where, again, students are a little confused as to how far they should take it. So we have a section where we ask, all right, well, Polaris will go into this new market. Who should be doing the job there? Would it be, like, for example, maybe expatriates to manage some of the subsidiaries or some of the dealerships? Or would it be locals, how much they should be paid, how much, or what kind of compensation structure they should have? On the other hand, we understand that if those will be privately owned dealerships, then maybe it's best to leave it up to the dealerships to decide how they want to organize it. So the question here is, what exactly would you be looking in this section? How far should students take it? What specific questions or sub-questions should they focus on when talking about the staffing section?
So if they are concerned, first of all, it will be distributor or the dealer-led employees. It won't be Polaris India employees. Now, number two, if it has to be a distributor and a dealer employees, then there is some minimum requirements that, okay, these kind of people we require, say, a technical people to maintain the vehicle, the sales people to sell it, the marketing persons, and then the accounts people to just check overall, and some sort of a manager who handles the entire the project of Polaris in that country.
Right.
So now, what could be the salary of that person? It's difficult for us to imagine, because each country has different tradition, different kind of a talent pool, and therefore we will leave everything to the distributor. For the purpose of calculations, you can work out some sheet which is from the profitability point of view of the distributor, how much is recommended, okay, what 2%, 3%, 5%. So those sort of the things we can leave. But that is where, I would say that I would discuss with the distributor once we are finalizing it. Okay, what pricing are you planning to have? What is the kind of a margin that you want to keep? And therefore, what is the kind of a people that you want to have? And then what is the cost of the people over there? And you can add the pricing accordingly.
It makes perfect sense. So look not so much as far as the prescription for how it should be compensated, but more as in calculation, so that it could be included in the calculation of the total price and the operating cost. There is another very interesting question. So the staff in the target country, that's one thing, but then also the staff in your own country, in India, to manage international operations. How do you usually do it, or how do you currently do it? Do you have a separate division within your company that manages international operations, or will you assign it to existing staff who manage the operations in India, and they will just take on responsibilities of managing the, I suppose, logistics, or probably, I don't know, maybe some financial aspects of the business when doing business overseas? Do you already have the people who will be able to manage all those shipments and payments, or will you have will you have to hire additional people in India? So how would it be staffed from your own subsidiary? Because I assume there will be extra work related to shipping the products there, maybe taking care of the advertisement, taking care of the financials. How will that work?
So most of the countries, where we would be supplying, we already have a team which is looking after all the logistics of getting the product from US to India, how to market in India, how to do the logistics within the country. So as far as the India project is concerned, and the countries where we are already exporting from India, say Nepal and Kazakhstan, so these are the countries where we already started operating. So all our operations are currently being done by the existing team in India only. We have not added any manpower for international, because most of the things that we are doing are anyway related to the logistics are anyway related to bringing the product from US to India. So we have a team member who gets all the product from US to India, and there is a US counterpart who helps us ship all the goods to the country. And therefore, if we have to ship to another country or the third country, the same person can handle it. The logistics team might be different. The logistic execution team, which is an outsourced company, would be different. But the people who would be actually shipping the goods or getting the goods to that country would still be the same. As far as the sales are concerned, we have identified, the sort of national managers who would be looking into various countries, and we already have identified within the team, who would be responsible for which country. So, but those are all the people who are from the existing resources that we have. We don't want to add any manpower as of now.
Yeah. Efficiency is the key. Now, we also have received several questions. So we've gone now through every section of the report, but we also have received a number of questions that are a little general. And with your permission, I would like to ask those as well. So, for example, there is a question from Frederico Monteza, just arrived a few seconds ago. He is asking, how many people are employed at Polaris India division at this current time?
So today we have around 14 people in Polaris India, 1-4. And then we have a lot of activities which is outsourced. So we have a number of activities like the warehousing, the technical support team. Those are all outsourced roles. So they help getting these activities done from outsource. So they are not counted on the Polaris India roles. So in total, we have about 14 people. And then we have some consultants, some advisors who keep on helping us in every activity that we have. But those are all outsourced people.
And then there is another question. Can you confirm that Polaris India products are made in the US and then shipped to India for distribution? Or are they made somewhere else?
See, most of the products that we're getting in India are from US. There are a couple of products. In fact, one company that we bought over in China, we imported from China directly to India. But all the products primarily come from US.
Then another question. Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So all the products except one chain of products which is very recently introduced is coming from US. And only one product line, which is a hammerhead product line, which we've just introduced in India, is actually coming directly from China to India. That's how it is.
Mhm. Another question. So, if you will be moving into a new market, let's say, for example, Kazakhstan, will the shipments go directly from the United States into Kazakhstan then, or will the products first arrive in India and then will be kind of re-exported into, for example, Kazakhstan? How would exactly that go?
All the consignments would originate from US. It's not necessary that it has to come to India.
Mhm.
It will all depend upon the that country's import duty applications.
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense that we get a product from US to India and then ship to, say, Kazakhstan. So, like in Kazakhstan, we are doing directly from US to Kazakhstan. From So the other countries that we have listed, mostly it would be directly from US to that country instead of US coming to, the products coming to India and then shipping again.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Um, let me okay. Oh, Soma is here. Hello.
Hi, Vance. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We're going through the questions. Did you wanted to add something or have questions specifically, or can we just go directly with
No,
the
I'm fine. I sorry for joining in late. I'm
uh
fine. My email is not working. Did you get my message on Skype?
Yes, I did. Yes, I just didn't have the time to
No?
respond, but yes, I did. Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
working.
So I have got a new email ID which I'll be writing on because that
Okay,
old ID is having some problems. Yeah.
got it.
Okay. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another
Awesome.
question, are you considering production in India or China to lower the production cost, or the products will continue to be made in the United States for the foreseeable future?
Um, See, right now we are open to look at production or assembly in India, but I don't see that it's going to happen in the near future
Hmm.
because the size of the business, the volume has to really go up before we set up a factory in India, and I see that there is a possibility between 3 to 5 years time frame that we may have something, but not before that.
Hmm. Okay. There is another kind of long question, so we'll try to summarize it in shorter terms. So the student says that many people or people in many countries uh, uh, like products made in their own countries. So they feel patriotic, they feel good when they buy products made in their local country, made in, for example, I don't know, Americans like products made in America, Indians probably like products made in India. The question is, would it be possible, or would you even consider the option of maybe assembling the products in the target market so that they can be presented as assembled in, again, for example, Kazakhstan? So would it be possible to import the products, for example, I don't know, wheels separate, body separate, then assemble them in that market and then say that it was assembled here? And so when you buy it here, you kind of do a patriotic thing, you buy a local product. Or it would be unnecessary, or it would be just too much, too much hassle for too little gain. What is your take on this?
I would say that we have to, in all the markets that we have specified, these are all mostly high import duty areas. And in these areas, uh, the assembly would make great sense. But before that, there has to be a market,
Hmm.
to set up an assembly unit and to have an advantage that, yes, it is assembled in the country and have the patriotic feeling. But then, if you have that, first, Polaris India is not going to invest into those countries.
Yep.
Therefore, we talk to the distributor, okay, you invest. But then we would also not like that he invests and he doesn't get the returns. So we would like that our partners, whatever investment they get, they earn some money out of us, out of the business that they associate with us. And therefore, we will advise them not to get into the assembly mode straight away. It's
Hmm.
if markets are good and they're responding very positively and they feel that when they do the assembly, the prices would come down by, say, 20% or 30% or 40%. That is when there should be and they feel that, yeah, the business will go maybe multiple times if we do that. That is when we will consider. And I don't foresee assembly in any of the target markets before 5 years at least.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
for the purpose of this study, I would suggest that for academic purpose you can say this, but from the practical point of view, it's not going to happen.
Hmm. Another one, who owns the products that people can see on the lot of your dealerships? Are they still property of Polaris, or the dealerships have to buy them first and only then can sell them? How does it work, I assume, with the payments with the headquarters of Polaris? At which point do you have to pay for the product? Before the shipment, I assume, after the product is sold? How does it work?
So we ship products only when we receive the payment. So
Uh-huh.
which means that once we receive the payment, then only we will ship the products to the target countries. And
Uh-huh.
therefore, technically, when they have made the payment and the product reaches to their country, the product becomes the distributor product and not the company's product.
Mhm.
On the financial terms, though still the brand is Polaris, so it is our product. So we will give warranty, we will give technical support and everything.
Mhm.
But the product is owned because of the payment that he does to us by the distributor after the goods arrive to them.
Mhm. So the distributor has to basically make a prepayment before they even order the products and put them on their lot, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah, that
yes.
makes perfect sense. To my understanding, that's exactly how most of the car dealerships work. So when you go to a, let's say, Volkswagen dealership or any other one, normally those machines, those cars that you see on the lot, they've been already purchased by the distributor, and they're just waiting to be sold to the end customer. So it appears to be the same thing. Mhm.
Yep.
And so we have a few other questions. They seem to be a little less relevant, but there is one that I personally like. What are you looking in people when you hire people to work for your team? What specific qualities do you admire most?
Number one, we look at people being having some passion for automobile. You know, the person should have passion for automobile. If he has done in the past some off-roading and he at least admires that, oh wow, this would be very exciting, so that's another quality that we look at. uh, Apart from that, you know, we would definitely look at the people being you know, have a proven track record of success. At least they have the will to be very successful in their field. And therefore, when we hire or we interview the person, we check the capabilities of the individual, the dreams that they have for the future,
Right.
and the kind of integrity that the person has. Like whatever they say, are they doing it? Whatever they said in the past, have they done it? And therefore, in the future, we derive that okay, whatever they are saying today, they will be able to do it in the future. So we see the quality, high integrity, uh, you know, passion towards automobile, uh, hardworking, and some creative on the creative side, whether the person is very creative or not. All those things we would look at. Especially the people who think out of the box are more than welcome, because these are products which are very, very different. These are not the normal
Right.
routine product. So anybody who has done something which is very unique, out of the box thinking, would be certainly preferred as a. We would prefer those people as an employer.
Very interesting. So it's more about the values, attitudes, and goals rather than purely the technical knowledge, right?
Yeah. So these products we can teach. The technical things we can teach very easily. It's a very simple products. All we assume all the students today are very technically advanced. So we have the servicing tools are very, very simple. It's just like your charging phone wire. So you just connect that wire to the laptop, and the laptop throws up everything what the product, what service needs to be done on the product, which part is working, which part is not working. So it's all digital, and therefore it's all trainable. So everything is trainable, but the attitude cannot be trained. But if the person has a very positive attitude, and then he comes in, we will train them. Maybe somebody will get ready in 1 month's time, somebody in 3 months' time. But we would look at people who join and start contributing straight away. And therefore, the attitude plays a bigger role than the technical skills.
And there is one more question that I would like to ask before we finish the session. One student just asked a few seconds ago, and there was one who asked at the beginning. I just skipped that question. Can you please describe your typical customer? Does it necessarily have to be a rich person who buys the product for fun, or are some of them buying this for work? And I assume they probably ask, I don't know, maybe average age, maybe average, I don't know, income level or socioeconomic status. Who are the normally, people who buy your product?
So our products are bought by multiple people now, and there are multiple usage, and we have a huge variety of products starting from a snowmobile, the ATV, the Ranger, which is more of a utility, and a Razor, which is more on an adventure quotient and a racing community. So if I have to generalize, then yes, it has to be a high net worth individual who has income of A plus, living in a city which is mostly A and B class cities in the country. They should already be owning large lands, so which is where they will ride these vehicles. The person should be adventurous, and there's a healthy mix of male and female with us. So typical customer.
Women buy those products as well?
Pardon?
Women buy those products as well. So
yeah, we have the range of customers that we have. Even a 6-year-old child loves Polaris, and he buys Polaris.
Interesting.
So we have a special product, which is a 50cc automatic vehicle, which can be ridden by a 6-year-old child. Then we have a product which is meant for 12 years plus, and and then the people who are females ride and they enjoy a lot. And I have seen people riding who are 80 years plus. So 85 years old is enjoying. So our products have a very wide appeal to enjoy, because, and what typically we say is that when you ride Polaris, your age is reduces by at least half. So if you are a 40-year, you become like a 20-year. If you're a 20-year, you become like a 10-year. And
well, that's interesting. I didn't know this. I thought that you primarily make products for kind of growing up men who seek some adventure. But yes, I mean, okay, for students, I mean, please note that. So apparently there are products that are designed primarily for the younger audiences, but then there are also some users who are very much older and still use these products either for fun or for work or for life. All right.
We also have, apart from these range, we have products which are used in agriculture. So there's a utility customer who buys.
Right.
Then there are people who are just adventure lovers. So they buy. They are different set of people. We also have people who buy our products for setting up experience zones, Polaris experience zones, or the Polaris parks, where they buy the product. They go and charge money from the people to drive these vehicles in a very nice terrains where they will love to ride, and these people earn out of it. So that's another set of customer, which is mostly to tap the tourism and the adventure lovers who don't want to own the vehicle but still want to enjoy. So for them, there is Polaris Experience Zone, so they buy in bulk. Then there are defense forces, the paramilitary forces, the police forces who own extreme vehicles. So we have very specialized vehicles for them as well. We have vehicles which can be para-droppable, so you go into a totally area where it's not possible, it's not motorable roads, so a helicopter drops you at the center of a dense forest or a dense area, and then you ride our vehicles in those areas. So there's a very varied kind of a usage of our products in off-road vehicles.
Very interesting. So you have products that can go on any terrain from desert to snow, for any type of customer, for people who want to own it versus people who just want to go on a weekend and have some fun and rent one. So very diverse. So it would be a good idea to keep that in mind. All right, so we're pretty much out of time. Probably it's a good idea to stop here for the students. If you have any other questions that either I didn't notice because we have lots of email traffic, and I think I noticed all of them, but if I skipped something, or if you didn't have the time to ask your questions, please just email them to us. We will forward. If it's something we know the answer to, we will just copy and paste from our database. But if it's a new question, we will forward it then to Mr. Dubey and ask him to answer. We don't have much time to finish up the projects, the reports. So please try to focus and try to have them on time. And other than that, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy and you probably have better things to do at this time. thank you for finding this hour to spend with us. And yeah, thank you. So we will be sending you the reports probably within a week or so once the project is over.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Vas.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.
Hello, Vas.